Recording? Yeah, it looks good. Welcome, stranger. Been a while. Last video I made was Minolta, and it was a disaster. So I thought I'd try again. Maybe this one will be easier. Anyway, customer sent me a Canonet QL17, and I don't see those too often, and I thought it would be another good camera to make a classroom video on. Classroom video being kind of a schoolroom teacher arrangement where it's not like a DIY where I'm actually teaching you how to fix something broken. It's just a general, explaining how the camera works inside. So if you ever happen to go into a Canonet, you'll have kind of a vague idea, possibly, of where the problem might be and how to fix it. So that's kind of the purpose of the classroom video. And we're going to be looking at, like I said, a Canonet QL17. So let's get started. Okay, let's begin. This is the first image or slide that I took. This is not the complete camera, but most of it laid out on my desk. And let's see here what we can do here. What we're going to be looking at here is the body, which I'm circling there during the rest of this video. Okay, we're going to start with the gear train. Gear train in the sense that you advance the lever here with this advance lever, and a lot of things move on the camera. It's called a gear train. And the reason we're starting there is because if a camera locks up, that's the place you want to start looking. You don't want to be checking the meter, the viewfinder, or the shutter. You always start with the gear train because that's the simplest thing to check. To see, I don't know, what something came loose, a screw, maybe backed out. I have no idea, but I've seen all those things happen in the past, and the gear train is the first thing I check when I go into a camera that's locked. Okay, this advanced lever we talked about. Here's the button that releases the shutter. This little brass thing here, ratcheted plate, advances the film counter. Sometimes your counter stops working, and this is the area that you'll be working in if that happens. If you look here, you'll see the shaft that you're advancing with your lever here is pretty large. It's because it has to take a lot of torque, and advancing all these things, charging the shutter and advancing the film. So you don't want a weak shaft in there. You want a strong shaft. Let's go to the next one here. Look at here as a nice close-up of the shaft that advances the camera. Again, Canon did a good job. They could have made it a lot smaller out of cheaper metal, but just looking at it, you can tell it's well made and it's strong. And it's not rough. Looks like they polished it or milled it, or I'm not a metal worker. I don't know what it is, but it just looks good. Looks like they did a good job. Here you can see the advance plate when you're looking down on the camera to see what film number you're on. That's what this, and this right here is what controls that when you advance the lever as it goes up. So if you've got a counter that's not working, this is the area you want to look at. That's the whole secret, maybe, if there is a secret, of camera repairs, going to the right area first and checking it. An amateur might just take the top cover off and look at all the gears and levers and springs, and he wouldn't know where to start. And wherever he went, he probably would go in the wrong area. So that's the reason it's important to know where to start checking your camera if it's locked up. Like if it's the pictures, if your parallax viewfinder is not working right, you would look in this area over here. This is your viewfinder over here. And like I said, if you it's just locked up, you want to come over here and start looking. And let's go on down. Here's the bottom. I took the base plate off. Right here are the gears that the advance lever turns. As you can see here, this screw here goes right in that shaft at the bottom. Holds this plate on right here. And if you look right here, you'll see the teeth of the gears underneath it. Looks like it might be carbon steel because it's black. The cheaper cameras, it would be silver because they just use steel. And the better cameras like Canon and Nikon use, sometimes in places with high torque, high stress, they'll use what we call carbon steel, which I don't know much about it except that it does not wear near as much and does not bend. When this here turns, and I forget which way it turns, but not important really, it moves this gear right here. This gear right here charges your shutter. You can't see it in this picture, but there's a lever here that pushes this direction, which engages the shutter and charges it. As you can see, it's a pretty substantial spring. It's not small, even though we're close. You can tell that's heavy duty. And I think that's all we can see in this slide here. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Here you can see that prong I was telling you about that charges the shutter. Point to it here. Sticks out. This one here does not stick out. There's no need for it. It goes up and engages to hold the spring in place, probably for charging. In other words, this, let's see, which side? The whole thing goes this direction, right, like that. So that's the direction it charges. But I forget, and I don't have another picture here. Not important. I get caught up in these details. I shouldn't. But as you can see, this one goes this way, and this one goes this way. The shutter, if it were mounted in the camera, would be in here like this probably. And the lever to the shutter would be here, and this little spring here would press against it, press it this direction, and charge it. And it's really hard to do. I try to use my fingernails sometimes to charge it, but sometimes I just use a screwdriver instead, because it takes a lot of pressure to push this over here, because that's got to charge the whole shutter mechanism and everything inside it, and there's a lot of stuff inside it. So what other stuff do we have here? Okay, first thing we're going to discuss here or look at is a clip on the advance mechanism. It's one of the first things you check if a camera's locked up. It could be something else, but this is the first thing I always check. Now up here I've put on the advance lever, which you'll need to do also. Of course, you have to take it off to get off the camera. This little tab here goes on to the plunger, which goes down, but you have to take the screws out and remove it to get the front of the camera out. And sometimes when you're advancing, it locks up. You can unlock it just by pushing up slightly. So we're going to move in, get a block here, put underneath it so they won't shake so much. When you're using a macro, now see it's locked up. It freed itself. It locked up just for a second here. But you can see when you push the plunger, you see that rod go down. Press that, presses against that plate. Plate presses against the lever. Okay, I'll let it up. Okay, now, what are we going to look at here? The whole end product of advancing is moving this little wire here. It sticks out. Here's the other end. It's made in such a way so where so the camera can go past where it's locked at. In other words, if it just went to its locked and then went back, sometimes as the camera ages and it gets play, it won't quite go far enough to lock. So this little mechanism here takes it just a hair past lock, and this little wire here can bend back this direction to let it lock. It just, it's the way it's designed. It's good design. It works. Now I'll show you here on what it's pressing against, so you'll know. When you advance it, you'll see this before you get here. I'm looking at my monitor. I always say this but it goes right here on my right hand side from this view, and that little wire goes on the right hand side of this charging lever right here, and goes left from this view and charges the camera. And you can see the slot here that it rides in. And I may or may not be able to do this with my thumb because it's really hard. I'm pushing forward. You see it there, go forward and then back. Okay. So when you're advancing it, that's charging up the camera here. If you look down the lens, you can see that the f-stop right now is at about 5.6. This camera, the f-stop works in auto. Usually it's open. Let's see, is it open right now? No, it's not. Okay, here we go. The f-stop right here, this is A. A should be right here on this line here, so it'll snap open. But I've got it looks like somewhere between F4 and 2.8 right now. I thought it was at 5.6, but it's not. Okay. But that's not what this clip's about. This clip's about the advance. Just wanted to show you what the advance presses against right here. Move this out of the way. Back to here again. So that's what this little wire here, it's actually kind of a stiff wire, but a wire that goes in there and wraps around and comes out. This one's shorter because it doesn't need to be long. That's the one right there. Now I'm going to advance, and it might lock up because of that plunger tab, but it might not. Okay, we're here, and see how it goes forward, and it did lock up. I'm going to have to go up here and move this up, and there we go. Now it keeps going, and you can see it goes all the way to the left. If it were engaged on the shutter, that would go back just slightly. In other words, it's going past its stop point, and that's what that's for. And you release it and see it goes back. Okay, before we leave this, we'll do one other thing here. Going to advance it again so you can see the mechanism. Here is your wire that I was telling you about, and you can see how it wraps around this stud here, it looks like. And you can see no, you can't see it. Okay, there it is right there. And there's the tab sticking out. It's important that you understand this because that's how you found the problem, is by knowing things like this. Now, here, as I advance, as you can see, it's moving. Did it lock? I think it locked. Back up. Yeah, it did. Okay, it locked. I advanced it while I was turning the camera over. But you can see this is where this hits this right here and stops it from advancing any further. But that's the important thing. Look at the top if your camera's locked up and see if it's somewhere under the advance lever or near it. Then look down here to see if there's something blocking this from going all the way to where this touches this. And a minor thing, but something. Usually you're not that lucky. Usually it's something more serious, but this stud right here, this wire, there it is right there. is one of the first things you want to check. If your camera's locked up, check your advance mechanism, make sure it's working right, and then go to the bottom and make sure all these are working right and there's nothing that looks out of place or come loose or is binding. These gears you see right here, see the teeth there, see the teeth here. Quite often the cameras, something will get lodged in between these little teeth, at the bottom of these little valleys here, these V-shaped valleys. A screw usually is what happens, but I've seen actually sand get in these little teeth also and cause it to lock up. I'm just rambling now. We need to move on to the next section of the video. Okay, that's it. Done. Another video ready to put up on my channel. Kind of an interesting camera. I liked it better than I did the Minolta rangefinder that I worked on a few weeks back. I like the fact that on the Canonet you set the speed and the camera chooses the f-stop, because that gives the person a little bit more control over the exposure. Where on the Minolta that I worked on, what was it, a 7S I think it's called, a Himatic 7S, there we go, wake up here, it had an EV number and it was totally automatic. You couldn't set anything. It's just whatever the meter EV reading the meter got, the camera just set its own speed and f-stop, and so the photographer had absolute zero control over the camera. Where on the Canonet you at least get to control the speed. So 30th, 500, however far it went down, I forgot now. But I like that about the camera. But I guess this wraps it up. I hope you learned something, and I guess that's it for now. Later.